Let's take a moment to breathe. Yes, breathe. Do it with me. Isn't that nice? And yet, who exactly do we have to thank for this? Our lungs? Our heart? Our brain? Of course, in part. But another that we so often overlook, the trees. Well, my name is Jacob Piett, and over the past 6 weeks during my Genius Hour, I've been studying trees to look further into their properties, their identity, what makes them them. What can I learn about these trees specifically to distinguish them from other trees? I decided to go strictly with Canadian trees, and I wanted to focus in on two main things. What are their outer properties and their inner properties? How can I use them in my professional life and in my personal life? Trees are wonderful and amazing. They are vital to the world and give us so many things. Yet, I, as a carpenter, to be honest, would have a hard time identifying a lot of these different types of trees. Unless they're directly labeled, there's a pretty good chance I didn't know what it was. Well, first of all, coniferous trees means that they're cone-bearing. They often have needle-like leaves that are with them all year round. They don't lose them. Here we have a pine. They're often very tall, 20 meters plus, and they have very long, like needles, and their cones are shaped like an egg. Here we have some balsam firs. They have pimple-like bark with sap inside it. It's almost blistery. They have flat needles. The way they taper, too, is pretty famous. You might have seen this before. It's pretty common for Canadian Christmas trees. Of course, there are many coniferous trees, but to zone in on just a couple, I think, is at least good enough for now to start to get some of the different properties and premises and patterns for this. There are, of course, junipers and cypresses, spruce and larch and hemlocks and yews and all these other trees, but the properties and the patterns are similar of a coniferous tree. So next, let's take a look at some deciduous trees. Deciduous trees are trees that do lose their leaves in the wintertime and get them back in the spring. They are often hardwood trees. Here we have a maple tree, pretty famous here in Canada, notably for its leaf. You can't go almost anywhere in Canada without seeing this tree, this leaf, or some symbol of it. As you are likely beginning to see, tree identifying is a lot of work. There are so many patterns and similarities from species to species. After a while, you just start to look and go green, green, brown, brown. But if you take the time to look specifically to the veins, to the pattern of the leaf, to the stem, to the actual distance from the asymmetrical leaf to its other part, or by looking at the bark, the shape of it, the texture, you can actually begin to distinguish them from one to another. Twofold, not only can we identify trees based on their outer properties, as we were learning about before, but we can also look at their inner properties. What makes them a tree on the inside? How can we distinguish just by looking at the grain what type of tree it is? Here we have a pine tree. First of all, it's yellow, it has linear grain, and it has cathedrals. Often too, the texture is raised, making it a little bit rough to the touch. And cherry. Cherry has red and orange highlights. It has cathedrals for its grain. It's smooth to the touch. This beautiful and vast world of trees is something that I've always wanted to be able to dive deeper in, gain knowledge about, and use practically in my work and in my projects. From building forts as a kid to hiking in the boreal forest, this world of trees can strengthen my skills both practically and theoretically. We are so fortunate to live in a country that's landscape is lush and full with a variety of different forests, multitudes of species, and such deep, rich colors. We all need to be thankful to the trees. They provide materials for our homes, furniture, and our life supply. This world of trees is vast and ongoing. A lifetime of knowledge awaits the wanderer. Trees are strong, they're durable, and they've stood the test of time. When we learn more about them, we are being respectful, not only to the trees, but to ourselves, to humanity. By understanding their attributes, we can build homes that will last lifetimes. By understanding their colors, we can create furniture that can be enjoyed for decades. I'm talking about those 150-year-old Victorian homes, the ones with the beautiful turrets and steep roofs. I'm referring to that dining table. You know the one that's still at your parents' house, the one that has celebrated so many birthdays and celebrations. We have so much in Canada that is owed to us by the trees. We can be thankful in knowing that the laws are in place to protect them for future generations. We can have fun and go hiking. We can study these trees at home. We can go to the lumber store and pick out whatever type of material we want to build beautiful, lasting projects. So, let's take a moment. Let's take another breath. And let's be thankful to the trees. Thank you.